Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining us for the learning of Teres Hashem, Be'ezras Hashem Yisbarach. Mirtz Hashem tomorrow night. We should have a safe trip back tomorrow. Tomorrow night, Shir will be in its regular time in Fairways, back in the Good Yisrael of Fairways. The plan is to have a Chumash Shir tomorrow night as well. First of all, we don't have a sponsor yet for that. Second of all, I didn't prepare it yet, but that's the plan. I don't know why he's calling me. Yes?
Yeah, I just want to let you know, Ruby Shant's on.
Okay. And we want to welcome in Michal Avram, holding down the fort. Thank you, Michal. It's great to have you there. Ruvain Shannon just called me that he's listening in. Saba is here, Irving Fishbaum, Marshall Castle, Mel Zachter, Stephen Holtzman, Shalom Fogel, Berish Kesselman, Mark Frankel, Aaron Swade, Menachem Umansky, Yaakov Yeshua Selmer from Detroit. Well, a royal welcome to you. It's wonderful to have you joining our Zoom family. Bayachem L'Shalom. Shelley Zeitlin is joining us, A.B. Spry, and Avram Rezepkovitz, Yitzi Fuchs. We have, that is Gedalia joining us, I think, yes, and Ben Zion Cohn, Yeshua Shmuel Eisenberg, Dr. Ruben Guy, Chaim Kramer, Daniel Rosenberg, Mati, Zoom listener, that might be David Helfgott. Richard Rosenzweig has just joined us on Zoom. And we are sponsored by A.B. Spry, who's sponsoring the Bavas with the tefillah to Hashem that all his children should become healthy Bavas. And we are also sponsored by Michal Avram, who is sponsoring this with kindness. He's sponsoring this Masechta, and with kindness he's joining us. What a new and wonderful Talmud he is. Thank you very much. And we're just joined by Nachman Umansky, Naftali Javelin, Shelley Zeitlin. Already, before we start, we already have 29 Zoomers on this evening. Very good. We are holding at the, if you listen to Irving carefully last night, Irving said that the Gemara will get a little easier. Irving, you must have heard that from me, right?
No, I did it.
Oh, you did it already. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and now we
Throw him off the Zoom.
Now we have a father and son team now. Dr. Matthew Guy and Dr. Ruven Guy. That's good. We a lot of times we have another father and son team with Bruce and Yeshua Shmuel, but Bruce is not on. Dr. Block has just come on to join us. Welcome, Dr. Block. Okay, we are holding at the very top of Daf Hey Amud Aleph. Now let's remember the case. Oh boy, here we go. Another two people joining us, and he's mamish tasting the bourbon. Shimon Klein has just come in, and
we're doing a collective week. Each night we add the next number together.
Yeah.
We get the bourbon.
Now, we spoke about the case of Halach, where I say, Marshall, you owe me $100, and he says 50, and here it is. So we had a machloikis whether that's a case of moida b'mixas, and then he would have to swear, or by saying here it is, he's saying that 50 isn't even a taina because you have it already. And therefore you're only claiming 50, and I'm denying all of that, and then there would be no reason to swear. So the Gemara says, Ulamanda Amar Halach Potter. According to the opinion that says, where Marshall says, well, here's the 50, he doesn't have to swear, so then why do we need a pasuk? Why do we need a pasuk to exclude real estate from Shmuel? Let's say if Marshall is moida b'miktzas of real estate, why do we need a pasuk that you don't swear on karka? karka is a case of halach, because since karka is ein an exelis, it's you can't walk away with it. When Marshall says, well, this parcel of property is yours and that is not, so that's a case of halach, because the parcel that he says is mine, it's already by me. So if you hold that by halach you don't swear, then why do we need a pasuk to tell me that by karka you don't have to swear? It's halach, and halach we said you don't swear. Hakol karka halachu. Amalach. So Rav Sheshes answers, it's kra. We need the pasuk heicha dechafa b'bayris shichan amaris, where Marshall took the land and he dug in it pits, trenches, and caves. Since he dug in it pits, trenches, and caves, he has to repair it. And since he has to repair it, he can't say it's already yours because he has to repair it. So that's not a case of halach. Or there's another possibility. Inami, you know why you need a case where heicha detanu kalim b'karkais, where I said to Marshall, you owe me vacuum cleaners and real estate. V'hoida b'kalim, and he admits to owing me the vacuum cleaners, but that's not halach. He admits to owing it to me b'kafar b'karkais, and he denies the real estate. So in such a case, that's not halach because he has the vacuum cleaners. If we would say that you would swear on karka, then that would be a case of Bava Metzia with karka, and therefore we need a pasuk to tell me that you don't swear on karka. As we grow to have a lot of people here, and Barry Cement has just joined us, and what a wonderful thing that is. I want to point out that whenever Barry is here, we end up getting 35 Zoomers. It's amazing. It's really amazing. It must be his charisma, his inner charisma.
Made a deal with me on the bourbon. That's how we're doing it.
Okay. I just want to remind everybody that you should try to mute yourself because we have a lot of people and we pick up a lot of background noise. So, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol niya b'dvaro.
Amen. Amen.
So the Gemara says, Tajma. We want to bring another, and Ruvain Pollock is joining us for number 36. Tajma, the Tani Rami Bar Chama, for Rami Bar Chama taught, Arba Shoimim Tzrichen Kfira b'miktsas v'oida b'miktsas. When we say that a shomer has to swear, it's talking about where he denies part and he admits to part. What are the four shomrim? Shomer chinam, a guard that watches for free. Vashel, somebody that borrows something. Noisei sacher, a paid watchman. Vaseicher, and a renter. Now, the case where he admits to part and he denies part, isn't that where he says, I say that I gave to Barry 2 cows, and he admits to having one, and he says, here it is, Rabbi Weiss, and he denies one. So that's a case of halach. And yet we say that you have to swear. Says the Gemara, Lavda Amalei halach. Says the Gemara, no. Here's what happens with Barry. The Amalei Gimel Paris Masartila. Barry, you were a Shomer Chinam. I gave you 3 cows. Umeisu Kulu B'Pshia. And they all died because of Barry's negligence. They all died. Barry was sunning himself in the sun, and all my cows got run over by Marshall's snowplow, and therefore I say you owe me 3 cows. V'amalei ihu, and he says no, Rabbi Weiss. Chada le'haya dvar me'olam. One of them never happened. You didn't give me 3 cows. You only gave me 2 cows. V'chada me'isa bainis, and one died by accident, and therefore I'm not chayav because I'm a shomer chinam. V'chada me'isa b'pshia, and one died by negligence. So here's a case of moida b'miktsas, which has a kfira b'miktsas and haida b'miktsas, but it's not halach. Halach would be that he gave it to me. Here he's saying that it died ba'onis. So it's not a case of Eilach. And therefore, the one that died with negligence, I have to pay you for. The lav Eilachus. So this is not a case where he says one is here. It's not a case of Eilach. So now, the Gemara goes back to the first case that we were talking about, the first din of Reb Chia. Now this was a case where I said to Marshall, you owe me $1,000. And Marshall says, I owe you nothing. I owe you nothing. Nada, zilch, nothing. Two witnesses, very choshev witnesses, Michal Avram and Saba, come and testify that Marshall owes me $500. So Reb Chia says that Marshall has to swear about the other 500. Because Adam should not be less than Haidas Piv. If he admitted to 500, he would have to swear about the other 500. So here where witnesses say that he has to pay 500, he surely has to swear about the other 500. So the Gemara says, Tajma, addressing this din of Reb Chia, the Tani Avur de Rab Aftariki le de Reb Chia Kamaisa. The father of Rabbi Aftarika said, according to the first din of Reb Chia, what I just told you, that where Marshall says he doesn't owe me anything, and witnesses come and say that he owes me 500, that he has to swear about the other 500, asks the Gemara, and then the Gemara just goes over the case, where Manali Biyadcha, where I say, Marshall, you owe me 100, I don't owe you anything, and witnesses say that he owes me 50, so the Brisa says, Yochel Yishav al Ashar, I might think that he has to swear about the other 50. Talmud Leimer, it says, Al Kol Aveda, for any lost article, Asher Yomer Ki Hu Zeh, that Marshall admits, this part I owe to you, this part is taka yours, but the other part isn't, so that's a din of Moed B'Mikzas, but it says Ki Hu, only in this case, aloidas pivat mechayvay, where he admits it with his mouth, you're mechayiv him to swear about the rest. V'iyat mechayvay aloidas edim. But if witnesses say he owes me half, he doesn't have to swear about the other half. So this is clearly not like Reb Chia. Says the Gemara, what's the problem? Masnisa karamis alei de Reb Chia? You're asking on Reb Chia from a brisa? Reb Chia Tana Upalik. Reb Chia is a Tana, and he could argue on a brisa. What are you asking on Reb Chia from a brisa? Reb Chia is a Tana. He could argue on the brisa. Says the Gemara, yeah, but the problem is that Reb Chia brought a raya from a pasuk. The pasuk says ki hu, right? Only in the case of Haidas Piv, v'akrok amar. He's saying a pasuk. Says the Gemara, no. Does the pasuk say Edim not? Hahula Moed B'Mikzas Satana. The pasuk says that when he says Asher Yomer Ki Hu Zeh, that when he admits the part of it, he has to swear. It doesn't say that when the witnesses he doesn't have to swear, and we learned out witnesses from a Kal V'Chaimer. Says the Gemara, Vavud Rabbi Aftariki. So then what was the father of Rav Aftariki's question? He says there's a ribuy in the pasuk and a miyut. Remember, zeh is a miyut. So Amallah ksiv hu uksiv zeh. Hu comes to tell you that where Marshall admits to half, he has to swear on the other half. Zeh comes to tell me only this and not by Adam. So Chad L'Moed B'Mikzas Satana has to swear, but Chad L'Hadas Adam the Potter. Says the Gemara, V'idach, what does Reb Chia do with the miyat of Zeh? And Rabbi said, look what's going on over here as we welcome in Moshe Jacqueline for our 40th Zoomer of the evening. Look what's going on over here. The place is going crazy, and we have Richard Rosenzweig and Sandy Grunfeld on Facebook, so we have 42 clear, 42, 8 more for the promised land. Says the Gemara, V'idach, what does Reb Chia do with Zeh? He says it's coming for something else. That if I say, Marshall, you owe me wheat, I say, owe me 100 bushels of wheat. And he says, I owe you 50 bushels of barley, he doesn't have to swear. Because the only time we say Maida b'mixes, you have to swear, if he's Maida b'mixes me'ena taina, from what I claimed. And that Reb Chia says is what we learn out from the Miyat of Zeh. V'idach Maida b'mena taina leslay. Excuse me. V'idach, what does he do with the Zeh? Chad l'Maida mixes atana. What is to tell me ki hu, that if Marshall admits to half, he has to swear. That's only if he admits to a part of what I'm the same type as I made the claim. But if it's of a different type, that's not a case of Moida b'mixes. Be'idach and Rav Aftariki, he holds that if your Marshall is Moida to barley, he still has to swear. He doesn't hold that it has to be Miminatana. Moida Miminatana lesla. He doesn't hold that it has to be from the same species. He holds like Rabbi Gamliel. V'savalei Rabbi Gamliel that nan ton of chitin. If I claim wheat, v'aydolay b'sayin, and he admits to barley, potter, but Rabbi Gamliel mechayev. Now, says the Gemara. Now we know that the rule is that whenever it says hahu raya, a certain shepherd, it's referring to Barry. That's what I mean. Hahu raya is Gematria Barry in Swahili. So when it refers to a shepherd, Barry knows this. He already learned it. The Rebbe said it in Yeshiva, that when it says that there's a certain shepherd, it's talking about Barry Cement. Now, as we welcome in Clem Douglas is joining us, the Gemara now says as follows: Hahu raya, Barry Cement, that a group of people gave him their animals in front of witnesses. Now, again, they knew who they were dealing with, and they knew they couldn't trust him. So anytime they gave him the sheep, they gave it to him in front of witnesses. Mark and Berish were always there to say it was 29 sheep, and this way it was, he couldn't play around. There was no hanky-panky. Unfortunately, as you know, sometimes Mark works late in the night, and Berish is sometimes in Muncie, and one day they didn't come. There were no witnesses. With a guy like Barry, one time is already too much. So the Gemara says, they would give him the animals in front of witnesses. But one day Mark and Berish weren't there, so they gave him the 29 animals without witnesses. What do you think? You don't have to be a big brain surgeon to know what happened at the end of the day. L'saif, at the end of the day, Amalahu, when they asked him for the 29 animals, Barry said, it never happened. I didn't work today. You didn't give me anything. It's just classic Barry, right? However, what Barry didn't know is that Dr. Block and Ben Sion saw Barry get 2 of the animals and eat them. He made a big tailgate party. He invited the Gans Agudas Yisrael of Staten Island, and he used 2 of them. Now, according to Reb Chia, now that there are Eidim that he took 2, he has to swear about the other 27. And that's what the Gemara tells us. The Gemara says, Asu Sadeh Asidu Bey, witnesses came and testified, the Ochel Tarte Minayo, that he consumed 2 of them. Amar Reb Zeiris, Reb Zeiris says, Im Isa L'D Reb Chia, if we hold of Reb Chia Kamaisa, the first Reb Chia of the case where witnesses testify about half, you have to swear about the rest. Mishtava Ashara. So now Barry has to swear about the other 27. Says the Gemara, I don't understand. We have clear witnesses that he stole 2, that he lied and stole 2. How can we trust his oath? Says the Gemara, Amalei Abaya, Im Isa Mishtava, if we hold it like Reb Chia, he would have to swear. V'gazanu, he's a confirmed thief. He had a tailgate party with two of our animals. He's a confirmed thief. How could we trust his shvua? Answers the Gemara, you're right. The din is that normally you swear and you don't pay. But if you're a known liar, so then we shift the shvua and the people swear and they collect. And that's what the Gemara says. Since Barry can't swear, because he's not trusted, because he was proven to have stolen too, so therefore the townspeople swear about 27 and they collect the 27. Says the Gemara, I don't understand. As Mo Kushner is coming in now for our 41st Zoomer of the evening, I mean, this is stratospheric stuff over here, Rabbi Isai.
It's just the beginning of a good long run.
This is Shonim Kadmoniyos, and it all has to do with Barry. Everybody is coming to see the infamous Barry. So anyway, so says the Gemara, I don't understand. Why do you have to come on to Reb Chia? There's a well-known shvua, D'Rabbanan, called the Shvuas Hesses. Shvuas Hesses means to seduce. And when somebody denies everything, we make him swear in order that he shouldn't, in order to spur him to tell the truth. So, Amalei, Hashtanami, the lesser of Reb Chia. The Gemara says, even if we wouldn't hold of Reb Chia, Nechayve mid Rav Nachman, we should make him swear because of the din of Rav Nachman. Ditnan, Manali biyadka, if I say Marshall, you owe me $100, and Marshall, true to his color, says, Ein l'cha biyadi, he doesn't owe me anything. So since he didn't admit to anything, he's potter. But the Amar Rav Nachman mashbiyan shvuas hesses. We make Marshall swear a shvua d'Rabbanan to try to persuade him to come clean. So over here, even if we don't hold of Reb Chia, we would make Barry swear. Says Gemara, yeah. But if it's a d'Rabbanan, the din that when somebody can't swear, we impose the shvua on the other side and they collect. That's only a din d'Rabbanan. And we wouldn't do two d'Rabbanans. We wouldn't say that he has to do a shvuas hesed d'Rabbanan, and because he's not trusted, because he lied about two, we say that we swear and we collect. That would be two d'Rabbanans. We don't do two d'Rabbanans, as the Gemara says. D'Rav Nachman takantahu, and the takantal le'avdina. But now that the shvu is d'oraisa because of Reb Chia Kamaisa, so then we say that since Barry cannot swear because he's proven to be a liar, so then we impose the shvu on the townspeople. They swear and they collect the other 27. Says the Gemara, but I don't understand. Why did we have to say that Barry is not trusted because he lied about two? Even if he didn't lie about two, he shouldn't be trusted because he's a shepherd. And shepherds are not trustworthy people because they graze their animals on other people's fields. So even if we didn't catch him having the tailgate party, he still should have been disqualified. Says Gemara, we should say that he was a shepherd. V'am Rav Yehuda stam roya puzzle. A shepherd is disqualified because he grazes his animal on other people's fields, and therefore, anyway, we shouldn't trust his shvua. So the Gemara says there are shepherds and there are shepherds. A shepherd that works on his own clock, he has his own business, so he's suspected in grazing in other people's fields, because by him time is money. And rather than go schlep out in the wilderness where things are free, he's going to go to the nearby people and save time. But here we're talking about where Barry worked for other people. And he's on other people's time. He's getting paid for his time. Getting paid for his time, he has no reason not to go. He's getting paid anyway to go out to the wilderness. He's getting paid, he's on the clock. So there, Ein Adam Chayte V'Loi Loi. He's not going to sin if he's not going to gain anything from it. As the Gemara says, Loi Kash Adi Day, if it's his own animals, so there he's going to cut corners and graze close by and not go out all the way into the wilderness where it's free. However, Hada Alma, but if he's getting paid for his time, then he will go out because he's getting paid for it. Because if not, we should never be able to give our animals to Barry because he'll be suspected to graze in other people's fields and will be over on the causing him to sin. You're not allowed to do that. How could we give our animals to a shepherd if he's going to graze it in other people's fields? You're not allowed to put a stumbling block in front of a blind person, meaning you're not allowed to cause somebody to sin. A person won't sin if he's not getting anything out of it. And now we go on to the next stanza in the Mishnah. And again, I want to say how beautiful it is that we have so many Zoomers on and joining us. Again, I will be back in Fairways at 8 o'clock. Mirz Hashem, the flight should be good and everything. The schus of the Olam, back at 8 for the shir, and hopefully I'll find a time to prepare a Chumash shir. If anybody is interested in sponsoring the Chumash shir, let me know, 718-916-3100, rmmwsi@aol.com. Also, I want to mention that they're moving the clock on Matzoi Shabbos. We spring forward. Springing forward means that Mincha is going to be already next week at 6:45, which will put the people in an odd situation. We'll finish Mincha Ma'av with Mishnah Yomis at 7:30. We're going to make the daf for the foreseeable future until it doesn't work with the clock. We're going to make the daf starting next Sunday 15 minutes early at 7:45. So the daf will be next week at 7:45. This week it's 8 o'clock. But next week the daf will be at 7:45. Shelley, you got that? And we'll as it is at this time of the year, we dance a little bit with the time, so of course we'll always announce it. Also, this Wednesday, I'm going to be broadcasting the shir from Monroe, New York. I have to drive out, that's why we're coming 2 days early, because I'm speaking for a huge olam of Hatzalah. The Hatzalah in Monroe is probably one of the most magnificent Hatzalahs. Because in Monroe, if somebody gets seriously sick, the Hatzalah drives them 2.5 hours to a New York hospital. So it's a minimum of a 5-hour swing for Hatzalah members. So you're talking about incredible sacrifice on the part of Hatzalah Monroe. So that's going to be, and I'll be broadcasting from over there on Wednesday night. Anyway, sorry for the interruption. We go now to the next stanza of the Mishnah. And remember, we had this case where Eddie, who I guess is not on because he went back there to Israel, but we'll leave the case with Eddie and Abi. Eddie and Abi are both grab a talis. Eddie says he found it. Abi says he found it. So we said Abi swears that he doesn't have less than half, and Eddie swears that he doesn't have less than half, and they both get half. That's what the Gemara tells us. So here comes the interesting question. It's a strange thing to tell Abi to swear. If Abi swears he doesn't have less than half, and it's taka not his, technically he could wheedle out and say he's not swearing falsely. He taka doesn't have less than half. He has nothing. So if Abi wants to be a wise guy, he can say, yeah, I didn't say anything wrong. I said I don't have less than half. I taka don't have less than half. I have nothing. Anyway, since Abi is saying that it's all his, why don't we tell him to swear that it's all his? Or at least tell him to swear that half is his. Why do we say, I don't have less than half? So that's what the Gemara is going to now analyze. Abi swears he doesn't have it less than half, and Eddie swears that he doesn't have less than half, and each one takes half. So the Gemara asks, I don't understand, al the islay mishtava? Does he swear about what he has, or al the leslay mishtava? Or does he swear what he doesn't have? And again, the question is if he says, I swear that I don't have less than half, it could be interpreted, I don't have anything, I don't have less than half. Rav Huna says, you're right. We're very careful. The Amar, Abi has to say, Shvua sheyesh liba, I have in it, ve'ein liba pakas mechetzi, and I don't have less than half. So the Gemara says, well, since he's claiming it's all his, that he found it and it's all his, or he bought it from Nachman, v'neima shvua shekula shali, let him swear that it's all his. So here the Gemara says an interesting answer. The Gemara says he doesn't swear that it's all his, because usually when the court imposes a shvua, then the person gets what he's swearing about. But here he doesn't get the whole thing. So the court won't impose upon him a shvua that he doesn't get what he's swearing about. So, and that's what the Gemara says. Is he getting the whole thing? He's only getting half. So says the Gemara, so let him swear that he has half. Why does he swear, I have and I don't have less than half? Let him swear he has half. That's what he's getting. On this, the Gemara says, look at this, the 42nd Zoomer of the evening. On this, the Gemara says, "V'nei mashvur shechetzi shali." Let him say, "I swear that half is mine." No, we don't want to do that, because Abi says the whole thing is his. So to swear that half is mine sounds like he's weakening his words. Meira leila dibure. He's weakening his words. So the Gemara says, "Hashtanami meira leila dibure." He's claiming it's all his, and he says, "I don't have less than half." He's also weakening his claim. Says the Gemara, you're right. The Amar, he says, listen, Kula shali, really it's all mine. Ula divreichem, but according to your counterclaim, so, and I know what I'm entitled to, Shvur sheyesh liba, I swear that I have in it, ve'ein liba pachas mechetzi, I don't have less than half. But here's the problem. Both Eddie and Abi are holding the talis, and we said whatever they're holding, it's a non-sadi that it's theirs. So then why do they have to swear? Says the Gemara, since each one is holding part of it, shvur zulama, then why do we make a shvur? Says, well, you're right. Really, midaraisa, you shouldn't need a shvur. They're both taifas, and therefore we should give each one half without a shvur. However, look, with Barrys and Marshalls in the world, if you put on a nice talis with a nice atara, Marshall's going to come behind you and grab it and say half of it is his. I mean, it'll be impossible to live. You go to Chicago, Marshall's going to pull your talis. You go to Staten Island, Barry's going to pull your talis. You go to Baylor Kinwood, Mark is going to pull your talis. You'll be buying talisim every week.
It's a conspiracy.
Says the Gemara, Amar Reb Yechlin, Shvuzu takanas chachammi, shelo yei kol echad ve'echad, it's a deterrent. Shelo yei kol echad ve'echad hoylech v'taykiv v'talisa shel kaveiroi, and grab the talis of his friend, v'imishaliyu, and say it's mine. But so what are we saying now? We're saying that we suspect that Marshall is trying to steal my talis. That's why we're imposing a shvuah on him. If that's the case, then how can we impose a shvuah? If we suspect that he's going to steal, then how can we trust the shvuah? It's a very basic question. The name of migu de chashid amamayna chashid nami hashvuasa. What does it help to impose a shvuah? If the guy is going to steal and be over a lav d'oraisa of stealing, so then what's the shvuah going to help? How is the shvuah going to stop him? So here the Gemara says, you have to know that some people will do certain things, but they won't do other things. There's a line that they draw, even though the line really doesn't make sense. Like, for example, people could do a nas devarim often and say hurtful words, but they'll never be a pickpocket. The truth of the matter is hurtful words is worse than being a pickpocket. It's a Gemara in Bava Metzia. We'll learn it later on in the Masechta. Einas Dvarim is greater than Einas Mammon, because Einas Dvarim is against the body of the person, and money is only money. But that's the way it is. People will call someone fatso, but they won't pick his pocket. So the Gemara says, that's the way it is here. We don't say that if a person is suspected to steal, he's suspected to swear falsely. No. People know, we say Kol Nidre, Yom Kippur night, Shvuah is very Chomer Lo Yinaka, a person won't be cleansed. So even if he'll steal, he won't come to swear falsely. Because if we don't say that, then what's the whole thing about the B'miksa Satayna, where I say Marshal Yomi 1,000, he admits to 500, denies the other 500, we make him swear on the rest. But why? If we suspect him of stealing the rest, why do we make him swear? Name, or we should say, if he's suspected on money, he should be suspected on the shvuah. So the Gemara says, no, that we already explained. We already explained that where he denies part of the loan, we said that Rabbah says it's not that he's trying to steal the other 500. He's just pushing me off in order to find the time to put together the other 500. So there, the reason why we accept his shvuah is we don't really think he's stealing. Rather, as we said, there he's just trying to evade it temporarily. Kidarabba. Teda. We said that there's a difference between denying a loan and denying a deposit. We said that if I say, Marshal, you owe me $1,000, he denies it, and we find out that he's lying, he could still be an aid at a chasana. But if I say, Marshal, where's my koshel elyo that I gave you a deposit, and he lies about that, he can't be an aid by the chasana. Because in the case where he denies the loan, the money is meant to be spent, so he doesn't have it. So he's just denying it to buy time till he could pay it. So that's not considered stealing. But the deposit, he's not supposed to use it. So you should have the koshel elyo in the house. And if he's denying it, that's outright stealing, and then he's pasal eidus, as the Gemara explains. If he denies a loan, kashal eidus. B'pikadon, if he denies a deposit, pasal eidus. Says the Gemara, but there's another halacha. Remember, where he's a shomer. Says the Gemara, Elahad Tani Rami Bar Chama, Abba Shoimim, 4 guards, Tzrichen Kfira b'mixas v'ayda b'mixas, he has to deny part and admit the part, Shemichinam v'ashayel neisisacha v'asaycher. So we said that if he denies part, he has to swear. Well, why don't we say that, well, if he denied part and there, it's not something that he was allowed to spend, So, name amigu de choshed amamayna choshed ashvuasa. We should say that since he's suspected of walking away with what I gave him to guard, he shouldn't be trusted of shvua. Says the Gemara, no, there also, where he says that an inus happened, he was just trying to buy time until he gets it back from the thief, or until he finds what was lost. Hasam nami ishtamute kamishtamed, he's buying time. Sava mishkachnale ganav, I'll find the thief at tefisnale and I'll get it back. Inami mishkachnale ba'agam, I'll find it lost in the marsh, and my sinale, and I'll bring it there. So then my koshel yo also. Why do we say he's puzzle this? We should say maybe he lost it and he's trying to buy time until he finds it. He's trying to buy time until he searches for it and finds it. Says the Gemara, you're right. The only time where he's puzzle edus by my koshel or yo, by my deposit, Kiamina not kaifer bikadin puzzle edus, that's going to asu sade, where witnesses come va'asidabe and testify that dahi shata, that when he said he didn't have it, dahi shata lipiv kadin bebeisei, they verify that when he was saying he doesn't have it, it was in his house, v'aviyada, and he was aware of it. So then he's clearly stealing it. Inami davinokale biyada, they saw him holding it in his hand when he said that I don't have it. Says the Gemara, Elohad Amr Rav Huna. Now here's another case. This is classic Barry. I gave Barry my koshel yo as a deposit. Now Barry wants to use Rabbi Weiss's koshel yo by the Seder. So he says, Rabbi Weiss, it got lost, and I'm paying you for it. I'm paying for you. It was a big koshel yo. I'm giving you $700 and finished. The halacha is we make him swear that it was lost. But why? If he's stealing it, then how could we trust his shvua? Says the Gemara, that we make him swear, taka, that he doesn't have my koshel yo. Why don't we say, if he's suspected of stealing it for his seder, migu dechashir amamayna, since he's suspected to steal it, kashir ashvasa, he shouldn't be believed to swear. Says the Gemara, Hasam Nami Maida V'Amar, Mayra V'Amar. There Barry says, look, I'm paying it for him. I'm paying him for it. I'm giving him top dollar. I'm not doing anything to him. Hasam Nami Mayra V'Amar, he's not a thief because he's Mayra Hatter, and he says, Demeika Yehivnalei. I'm giving him the money. He could buy another one. Says the Gemara, but there's another reason why we shouldn't trust his shvua. He's over another Issa D'Oraisa, one of the 10 Commandments. It says, Lo Yisachmod, you're not supposed to covet what's not yours. He's coveting my koshel yo. Says he's desiring and coveting what's mine. Says the Gemara, Barry thinks, like a lot of people, that the only time you're over Lo Yisachmod is when you don't pay for it. You know, it's an interesting thing that if I see Mark wearing a beautiful watch, and I say, Mark, I like that watch, here's money for it. It's a shaila whether I'm over Lo Yisachmod. I'm desiring what's his, trying to take it off him. So here, for sure, Barry says, look, I'm paying it for it. I'm not over Lo Yisachmod. And therefore, since he doesn't think he's over Lo Yisachmod, that's why we could still trust his shvua. As the Gemara says, Lo Yisachmod le'inche b'lo d'mei mashmalu. That's only if they take it without paying. When they take it with paying, they don't think they're over an Isser. And that's why we could trust Barry's shvua. Okay, we'll stop over here, Rabbi Yisai. 41 Zumas strong. And now we're going to learn the Mishnah Yaimis.